It's time for the best part of the week, and that is your tutorials. So in your video today, I'm going to be answering client questions. Today, we're going to dive into the leg series. I'll talk a little bit about why your standing hip may be hurting. I'm also going to give you an alternative to pigeon, and then we're going to talk about the oblique series, specifically why you may be feeling it more in the standing leg than you are in the side oblique. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the most common questions that come through ever in Become, it has to do with this exercise, kneeling on all fours, working the single leg. The question is always, I'm feeling it a lot in this standing hip. Now, before I go any further, I have a full tutorial on this move that if you are becoming, even if you're not, you should definitely watch. So if you scroll down on this page, it's underneath foundations, you're looking for the kneeling single leg tutorial, please give this one a watch. But for today's purposes, I just want to give you a little quick view of what the wrong way may look like. So if I'm kneeling on all fours, the first thing that I want to do is make sure that I'm not sinking into the standing hip. So watch again, not sinking, sinking. Now, when you move into not sinking, it requires a lot of core work. So it's my low belly here that's actually, so sinking, my low belly is pulling in and up, and I am actually shifting the body weight toward the lifted leg. So that means that my weight is primarily going to be in the opposite hand. When the leg starts to open, you have to keep the integrity of this stacked hip and knee. The tendency will be to open and then sink further into the side, and you're gonna feel so much in that hip, it's not comfortable. So the biggest thing is as you open, shift your weight toward the lifted leg, pull the belly in, allow yourself a small range of motion, and make a note that all of this and all of this is going to be very, very actively engaged as you open. So abs pull tighter, 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 tighter. They stay tight as you move backwards. Because I know that so many of you tend to feel this standing leg when you're doing the exercise, I incorporated an active stretch. So in between each one, we move into a pigeon position and then we come back out. Now, this is also tricky because while it may give some relief for the hip, it is going to cause that hip to have some heat because once again, it's actively stretching, right? Anytime you actively stretch, you will feel heat in the muscle. So yes, you should be feeling something in this leg, but no, it should not be major cramping sensation. When you move down into the pigeon, make sure your hands stay planted. Only go as far as your range of motion will allow. And when you come back up, pull your low belly in and then press down through the hands to come up and over the leg and then reset. Now we need to come to terms with the fact that the pigeon may not be right for everyone, and that is okay. So now I'm going to show you an alternative that you can do for the pigeon position that will still allow you to release the hip. So same benefit, just protecting the body. It goes a little something like this. Hit it, you open 1, 2, close 3, 4. Again, open 5, 6, close 7, 8. Here's your next 8 count. You're going to set the foot down, 1, 2, lift up, push back to a downward dog, 3, 4, come back to the floor and kneel on 5, 6, lift the opposite leg on 7, 8. Let's move through that one more time. Opening 1, 2, back 3, 4, open 5, 6, back 7, 8, foot down 1, 2, down dog 3, 4, come forward 5, 6, lift the leg, 7 and 8. In your routine this week, we're doing an oblique section that involves standing, and I call this a clown dance. I love this little motion. I think it's really fun. The question that came through though is about feeling it in the standing leg, so feeling it over here and not necessarily getting into this side waist. So there's a couple things to note. Number one, you're standing on this leg, which means that it's working. It's essentially the stabilizer of the exercise. Number two, you want to make sure that you're not letting your body weight fall and sink into this hip. So right now I'm sinking in my hip. This is going to cause extra cramping. Here I am lifting out of the hip. Do you see the difference? Sinking, not sinking. Now, if I do the exercise sinking, I'm primarily going to be holding all of my weight right here in this hip and already, ouch, ouch, ouch. Instead, I'm going to lift up, stay out of it, belly pulls in, core is nice and tight. Now I'm going to think about moving that upper body over a little bit to catch a little bite in the side of the waist. Once again, and I want to make this very, very clear, you will feel your standing leg because it is a stabilizer. Just make sure that you're not letting all that weight sink and drop into the hip. This next part wasn't actually a question, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because what I just showed you about the oblique actually applies to the lunge series as well. So when you come up for the lunge series, here I'm sinking into the standing hip, right? I just opened myself to the side. This isn't going to feel good. The position you're actually moving into is lifting out of that hip and tipping over to the star. So watch again. This would be the wrong way. This would be the right way. It's all about lifting out of this standing hip, and that's a really, really challenging thing to do. It takes practice. You may want to try doing Become in front of a mirror so you can see when you are sinking and when you have lifted up that low belly to stay out of the leg.